Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be walking you on how to load a CSV file into Python, getting some of the columns. In this case, I'm gonna be merging the from and to information um, from a CSV that I downloaded, which is readily available to the public. On this exercise, my goal is to find all instances of a particular recipient with the goal to either use for the purpose of searching for that recipient, or you could also use it, for the purpose of modifying privilege lock. Before I get to it, I wanted to thank everybody that has subscribed to my channel. If you haven't done so, go ahead, please, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate your support. Now, without further ado, let me walk you straight into it, and I'm gonna show you how to perform this exercise. So before I actually go into the Python code, I want to show you how the CSV file looks. So again, I downloaded this CSV file from the net, and this is something that is available to the public. We have multiple fields here. For the purpose of this exercise, I'm gonna be creating the CSV, and I'm gonna be merging these two fields here. Then I'm going to be writing them into what you would call an array um, on C++. But within Python, array, you have like three types of array. One thing's called dictionary. You also have a tuple and a list. So in this particular exercise, I'm going to be using a dictionary and a list to play around each recipient instance. So without ado, let me go into the code and walk you through it. I like to use Spider to write my Python code. So I'm opening Spider here. I actually already wrote the code. So here I'm importing two libraries, and I'm gonna be using the import CSV library, and this is the one that I'm using to read the CSV in order to manipulate the data. And I'm also using pandas, and this is to write my final results, what I want as the final output. This is here, I created this variable and reading the CSV file that I downloaded from the internet. Here I'm creating a list for the purpose of modifying the entries and deduping. And here is the portion that I'm actually opening the CSV file and writing into this variable. And here I'm actually gonna go and read each row within the CSV file. Here what I'm doing is I'm reading each row. I created this temp variable here. And here what I'm doing is I'm writing and literally calling the from column, and also the to column, and I'm merging them together. I have a few replace here because if we go back into the CSV file, I need some formatting because there's some other information here, like this frozen set that I don't really need. So I'm replacing a few things. I'm replacing this frozen set and also the brackets here at the end. And I'm also replacing, if I'm not mistaken, quotes and single quotes. Just for the purpose of making the data more readable at the end. So as you can see here, I'm replacing this with nothing. I'm also replacing the quote here with nothing. And I'm also replacing the single quote with nothing as well. And I'm doing it on both the to and the from field. You can merge more fields. You can literally just call more fields here if you want to add more to merge them. But for the purposes of the exercise and for you guys to have an idea on how to do it, I'm just doing these two. And then I'm writing into this temp variable that I'm creating here. And this is with the purpose to write it into a list. So this is when I start writing into the list. So I'm using the extend functionality because if I go back to the CSV again, let me explain to you guys what's going on here. So because I'm going line by line, every time that I'm reading these two here is creating its own list. So, but at the end of the day, I want to only have one solid list because I want to remove duplicate entries. I only to have only one single instance for each recipient. So every time that I'm running this, it's reading this as one list, then it reads another list. So on my code, what I'm doing is I'm merging all those lists into one single one. And that's why I'm using this extend functionality here. So I'm pretty much, so here it's reading the line, it's adding to the list, and then when it goes to the next one that it gets the new list, it's just extending the original list, adding the values, the entries that I want to add there. Here I created another list because I want to use the equivalent of trimming for each entry, and the only way to do that, to actually trim entries within a list, is to actually write it to another list, because you don't have the ability to actually remove spaces. Python doesn't allow you to do that kind of stuff, so you cannot. It's only read only. So in order for you to actually trim it, you have to write into another list, strip those values, and and write them into the new list. So that's the reason why I was doing this here. So I went ahead and stripped it. Like now here, the new list that I created now has some. It doesn't have leading or trailing spaces. So we have taken care of that. Now on this particular line here, what I'm doing is removing duplicate entries. So have in mind that I was merging the from and the to field, and then I was flattening the whole thing out into single values, because you have so many email entries here. You're gonna have duplicate entries or the same aliases. So what I did here is I'm removing, pretty much duplicating the entries in order to have a pristine list of of unique aliases. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm removing duplicate entries. Here, then I'm sorting them alphabetically. It's more for organization purposes. Here, I'm creating this variable using pandas in order to write it into an Excel file. Here, I'm specifying that I want my Excel file to only have one column, and I'm naming that column recipient. And this is the function that I'm using here to literally creating the Excel file, and it's writing every entry um, from my list. So let me go back here. So this is the new list. This is when it's reading the sort of new list, and this is what I'm using to write each entry. So let's put this to work, so you guys can see what the code is doing. So I also wanted to. I mean, you don't this particular portion here. We don't need them, but I want you guys to see um how the after I do the dedupe and remove the duplicate entries, um the values that you have in the actual list. So I'm gonna put it here. Pretty much, so like I'm calling the test data from my desktop, what I just showed you guys before, and I'm naming my output Excel file result that it's LSX. Um, Now here to run it, I'm gonna just here click on the play button. The code is running. So this is the entries after I dedupe the entries within the list, which is an array again. If I go to the desk, let me see where I wrote it. If I go to the desktop and I see the results, now we have the spreadsheet here. So yeah, so this is here, like it's giving you again the unique instances for each recipient. You can ignore this, you can just delete. And here pretty much now you have all the unique instances for each recipient. And you can use this for multiple things. You can use this to to develop search terms, for example, to search for investigation purposes. You could also use this for this, for the purpose of privity logs or getting to know your data better. So with this I conclude the video. I hope that you find this useful. Um, this is something that I find useful and have used it in the past multiple times of forensic investigations. Um, Thank you for your support again. Please don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any comments or you would like to see all the data exercises, specific to things that you are working on, feel free on reaching out. Thank you so much for your support.